Okay, so this is the beginning of a little stretch video just to help to open up the hips, the lower back, get a little extra swagger, because Lord knows we all need a swagger. So just to help open up a little bit, start sitting with the legs straight out in front of you. Flex the toes back towards the face just enough that you start to feel the backs of the legs open, and then just let your arms drop by the sides. Lift the chin, open your throat. When you're ready, exhale and start to come forward. Let the elbows bend, the shoulders drop, and try to just let your feet fall wide so that your forehead can fall between your knees. And take a couple long, deep breaths. Keep inching the fingertips towards the heels. So you should start to feel the stretch through the back of the body into the ribs. You'll let the chin tuck into the chest. Separate the teeth, release the jaw. Give yourself a good 10 breaths here. When you're ready to move on, you'll slowly lift the upper body back up to center. Bring the soles of the feet together to touch. So hopefully you can see in that side mirror and the front mirror that my feet are far away from me, but the soles of the feet are still together. Grab onto the shins, start by pulling the shoulders back, try to get long and tall. Lift the chin away and then start to come forward, flat back. You're not going to come forward very far, but the moment you come forward, you're going to feel it in your outer hips and thighs, which is where we want it. So grab onto the shins, pull the elbows in, lift the chin, keep coming forward. Let the elbows lean into the knees a little and feel like your chin is the farthest thing away from the earth, so that you wind up leading with your chin and your heart and getting more of a stretch into the outer hips and thighs. Try to lift the chin a little more. Exhale, come forward. Try to smile while you're doing it. It makes a difference. Give yourself 2 full breaths. And then when you're ready, you're just going to simply release the elbows down outside of the shins. Let the forehead drop as close between the knees as you can, and let go of the back of the neck and shoulders as much as you're able. So the work is surrender. We don't want to force or fight into anything. You just want to allow the back of the neck to release, the chin to tuck into the chest, separate the teeth, release the jaw, and slowly inch the fingertips farther forward. Doesn't matter how far forward you get, but you just want to allow yourself the freedom to surrender. So the elbows drop outside of the shins, forehead drops. Take 3 or 4 long, deep breaths. Breath in and out through the nose as much as you can. So when you inhale, you feel the whole body fill with the breath. And when you exhale, you allow it to let go and surrender deeper. So ideally, you really want to take about 15 or 20 breaths here, because you're going to take a little time releasing into it. Once you're ready, you'll start to come back up to center and then bring the soles of the feet in as close to the body as you're able. Once you bring the heels in close, you'll start to feel like the inner thighs and hips and the hip flexors. The hip flexors wrap around to the lower back, so if you can start to release the energy through the hip flexors, it makes a big difference for lower back pain. Chin lifts, throat opens, and exhale and start to come forward. Chin reaching forward, shoulders pulling back. Try to lengthen, again feeling like you're leading with the chin, so the chin is the farthest thing away from the body, and then you'll let the shoulders pull back a little more. And keep inching the heart forward. 3 or 4 big, deep breaths. You'll start to feel it at the inner thighs and hips. Take a big inhale, chin lifts, throat opens. And then when you're ready, exhale and try to let it all go. Get your forehead to fall as close to your toes as you can. Now, you're not going to be any happier with life if your forehead touches your toes. Don't use that as a goal. It doesn't matter how close your forehead gets to your toes. It matters that you feel something through the inner thighs and hips. So just keep allowing the fingertips to start reaching forward farther, letting the belly pull in, the forehead drop to the toes, and take a good 10 or 20 breaths here. The work is not to count the breath so much as to really let yourself open and expand into each breath. So when you feel that inhale starting to move through your body, you allow that to inflate you almost. So you feel like you're filling your body up with air, and then as you exhale, you're just surrendering deeper into it. So keep working on the surrender. Fingertips reach forward. When you're finished with this step, on the next inhale, start to come back up to center. Straighten the legs as much as you can, and then windshield wiper them back and forth. Just shake them out a little bit so you get a little space. And when you're ready, bend the right knee in towards the outside so the right heel comes in. Hopefully you can see in the mirror that my right foot is inside of my left thigh. Now you're going to square the body over the left leg, and when you're ready, exhale and start to come forward and let your belly come over the left thigh. This will start to release the energy in your lower back on the right side the more you reach the right fingertips to the left heel. When you're ready, you're going to let the right ear drop to the left knee and keep working the right fingertips towards the left heel. Take good 10 or 20 breaths here. So the work here is to be slow, surrender. So you're not pushing, forcing, try not to grab onto the foot or the ankle or the shin. Just allow your elbows to bend, the shoulders to drop, the right ear to fall to the left knee. Take a big inhale and exhale. When you're ready, after about 20 breaths, you want to come into the midline. So feel free to pause the video in between so that you can take, 10, 20, 30 breaths, whatever time you need in each pose. This whole practice should take you about an hour. so that at least you can get the time and the space to open up through your body. Let the elbows come in front of the right shin when you're ready, so the upper body releases, the forehead starts to drop, and you start to inch the fingertips forward farther, so eventually your belly gets closer to the floor. It doesn't matter how close it gets, just matters that you feel that your body's letting go, and eventually your forehead touches the floor. Give yourself a few breaths here. Gently and mindfully, when you're ready, come back up to center. Slowly start to find the space between your hips by letting the legs draw wider. So now this is a wide-legged straddle. The legs are as wide as they can go. Your hips are grounding into the floor. You might want to waddle the sits bones back and forth to feel the sits bones there. Flex the toes back towards the face just so the knees aren't lifting, and then release the feet and just let them go. You can wiggle them around a little bit. Then on the next exhale, start to come forward, slowly easing your way into the forward fold. Now it doesn't matter how far forward you come. You might just come forward enough that your elbows hover off the floor. That's perfect. You're going to feel it in your backs of your thighs, your inner thighs, your hips and lower back. Try to lead with the chin. Keep coming forward with a flat back as much as you can. Try not to round. So the work is to have a flat back, and eventually you'll come all the way to the floor. Now that eventually might take 5 or 6 years, so don't get yourself into a space where you think that the belly should touch. Allow yourself to kind of calm into it, just surrender into it, ease into it. Be easy with yourself. You know, it's just nice to be easy. Give yourself a little space. When you're ready, right leg comes in just a little, left foot comes inside of the right thigh. So you're going to bring the left foot inside of the right thigh, square the body over the right leg, exhale and start to come forward, working your left fingertips to the right heel. So the left shoulder drops, the left ear drops to the right knee. Keep inching the left fingertips closer to the right heel and try to feel the length and space through the whole left side of the body. The more you walk the left fingertips out, the more stretch you'll feel in the lower back on the left, and you'll take your time and breathe and ease into it. Keep inching the fingers forward. Try to let the left fingertips get to the right heel, the left ear to the right knee, and feel your elbows draw wide, your belly releasing as your body surrenders with the breath. Every inhale and exhale, try to make the inhale as deep as you possibly can. The exhale as releasing as you can. So the more you focus on the inhale lifting, and you let the exhale release you deeper. So you're going to take a good 15, 30 breaths here. Feel free to pause it in between so that you don't feel like you're rushing. Take your time so that you're easing into it. Take one more deep breath, and when you're ready, you'll come back up to center. On the next exhale, keep the left knee in towards the midline. You might scoot it in a little more, and you're going to bring the right knee to stack on top of the left. So what it looks like is that the knees are completely stacked, the legs are crossed, and the right knee is on top of the left, and you try to bring the heels in as close in towards the body as you can. Hopefully you can see that the heels are close in. You can see my feet the way they are. The heels are close in, the sits bones are grounded, the chin lifts, the throat opens. Focus on the right knee being on top of the left. If you are not able to bring the heels in and it feels miserably uncomfortable, it should feel a little uncomfortable. Miserably uncomfortable we don't want. So you might then just straighten the legs but keep the legs crossed. So focus on the right knee staying on top of the left, the inner thighs together to touch. The work is to make sure that the right knee is on top of the left, feeling everything hug in, and then when you're ready, you'll start to bring the upper body forward. So ideally the heels will be in towards the hips. If you need to straighten the legs, the work is to make sure that the ankles are in line with each other. So you don't want one ankle way in and one ankle way out. You want the ankles much in line with each other as you can. Lift the chin. Whenever you're ready, exhale, come forward. Try to let the elbows bend, the shoulders drop, your belly eventually hovers over the right thigh. Maybe your chin comes outside of the right shin. Wherever it feels good, your focus is to stay there and breathe for a good 20 to 30 breaths. Take your time. It should feel like it's a few minutes in each pose. Maybe play a little music that helps to zen you out and calm you out so that you're not so focused on the energy that by now is moving intensely through your hips. You want to just be easy. So give yourself a few breaths. Be nice to yourself. Say something loving. You deserve it. Keep letting your body come forward a little farther, inching the fingertips forward as much as you can each time. Think about the fingertips inching forward, the elbows bending, the shoulders dropping, your whole upper body falling over the right thigh. And you'll take your 30 breaths here. Take your time when you get back up. And on the next inhale, you'll slowly straighten the legs forward. Shake out the ankles, move the feet back and forth, create a little extra space. When you're ready, you're going to bend the right knee again. Right knee as much in line with the midline of the body as you can, and now the left knee on top. Feeling free to straighten the legs if you need to, working the heels in as close to the hips as you can. trying to feel that you get that long straight spine, shoulders drop back, heart opens, and then as you're ready, exhale and start to come forward. Elbows drop, chin outside of the left knee. Try to work your heart as close to the left eye as you can, and then allow your upper body to completely surrender and keep feeling like your upper body is going to rest over your left thigh, so that you're not forcing anything, you don't feel like you're stretching too much or forcing, you're just easing into it. And let the depth of your breath do it for you. So the inhale gets so deep that your whole body fills up, and the exhale releases you so deep that you surrender into it. So again, another 30 breaths here. Take your time, ease into it, try not to focus on how long you're there, just focus on the magic you're creating in your hips. Just try to put a positive spin on it. So you're focusing on the joy, focusing on the happiness, focus on the bliss. If you spend time talking about the pain and the problem, it becomes a little worse. So keep focusing on what you want it to feel like. Joy, bliss, ecstasy, peace, bliss, ecstasy, happiness, bliss, ecstasy. Whatever you need, just repeat it over and over again. Use that as your mantra. Something that you can use to bring you back into the present moment space in your mind that you want to be in, even though you're not really in the physical circumstance you might want to be in. When you're ready, from this pose, left knee is on top of the right, you're going to lean into your right hand, sweep the left leg back. We're going to work into pigeon pose. So the left leg comes all the way back. The right knee is in line with your right shoulder, in line with your right hip. So there's one straight line from the right knee to the right hip, right shoulder to right knee. So when you look down and you start to come down, your right shoulder should almost touch your right knee. If you can handle a little more, hopefully you can see where my foot is here, you'll walk the right foot a little farther forward, and one day that right foot will come underneath the left shoulder. That doesn't have to happen right now. Your focus is just to square off the hips. Try to lower the left hip more than the right. Now you might need a little block. So I use a block. We have yoga blocks. You don't really need a block. You can use a towel, wrap it up in a little bulge, and you'll work to put the block underneath the right hip, just so it's supported, so you don't feel like you're leaning over to the right. It's going to make the stretch more intense, but that's kind of what you need. So the focus is to keep the hips as square as you can. If I were to try to balance a tray of drinks on my hips, they would stay there. So your focus is to try to keep the hips square, lower through the left hip, draw the elbows wide, and just let your forehead drop and stay here for a good 20 breaths. Instead of counting the breaths, just let your mind kind of drift away. Maybe use the length of 1 or 2 songs, depending how long the songs are, to use that to gauge it. Keep working to square off the hips as much as you can. Elbows draw wide. The upper body starts to release a little deeper. Take a good 30 breaths here. You're going to feel a lot going on in your right hip. Try not to get distracted by it. Focus on something else. Focus on something more exciting than the energy in your right hip, so that you can create something that is not leaving you stuck in just this sensation. You create something a little better. Take 3 more breaths when you think you can't take any more. So give yourself the time to stay here. And then when you're ready, you're going to gently, gently, gently lean into the right sits bone, lean into the right elbow. All you have to do is straighten the legs all the way behind you. You might want to groan and moan a little when you do it. You're going to reach the fingertips forward, stretch the body out. You'll feel a lot of energy moving through your right hip. Take your time, take a moment here, breathe into it. We're going to work a little twist with the shoulders, press into the palms, bring the left arm all the way underneath. So here's my left arm, and it's just dropping to the floor. Left arm drops, so you're laying over your left arm, the right arm by the right side, and then let the right shoulder drop. So the right palm is facing up, the right wrist and right arm is right next to the right side of the body, the right shoulder drops down, and you're just going to rest over your left shoulder and give yourself a good 30 or 40 breaths here. Take a little more time here, let your mind drift off. Make certain the left wrist is in line with the left shoulder, hopefully you see that here, and keep allowing the upper body to rest and drop down as much as you can. And give yourself a good 40, 50 breaths here. A lot of time in the shoulder stretch. Feel free to pause the video. Take a little time. Whenever you're ready, right fingertips underneath the right shoulder. Roll onto the left side of the body. Bend the knees in towards the body. Press into your right hand so you can effortlessly lift up. And now you'll lean in your left hand, and all you have to do is bring your left knee to your left wrist. So the left knee gets right in line with the left wrist, in line with the left shoulder, and then you'll straighten the right leg behind, because we're going to work that same pigeon pose on the other side. So you want to keep a swag in your hips. So your work is to keep the hips square. Think about the elbows starting to come down, and eventually your left shoulder is in line with your left knee, your left foot is close to the right shoulder and you start to come down as easily as you can. Remembering that block is there if you need it, or the bolster, and you would stick that now underneath the left hip. So you want to make sure that the hip stays square. You want to feel that you're supported. So you don't feel like you're forcing into it. You're not muscling into it. It's easy, easy, easy work. Think about the elbows drawing wider. The upper body releasing as much as you can. Gift yourself with this time to just surrender into it. Elbows draw wide, shoulders drop deep, the back of the neck releases, and give yourself a good 30 or 40 breaths here. Make sure that right leg is straight behind you, so that your work is to try to lower the right hip as much as you lower the left, but never tilting to one side more than the other. Allowing the upper body to let go. It'll take a while for your elbows to come down. Just be easy with yourself. Feel that you're just letting your head drop, if nothing else. So even if first you're on your elbows, just let your head drop so you let go of the back of the neck and the shoulders. And then as you're ready, you'll start to exhale and draw the elbows wider. And the wider you can get the elbows, the more you'll release the energy from the back of the neck, because you do not want to release the energy from your left hip and then just put it into your shoulders by leaning into the elbows. Try to separate the teeth, release the jaw, be easy. And then when you're ready, mindfully lean into the left elbow. So you just hold that for a good 30, 40 breaths. Don't short yourself. And then when you're ready, lean into the left elbow. Straighten the left leg all the way back and come all the way onto your belly again. You can groan a little bit with the effort. It's always nice to moan when you're doing it. When you're ready, press into the palms, lift the upper body, and now the right arm is going to weave all the way under. You should see my right hand here, and then gently the right arm drops, right wrist in line with the right shoulder, and you're going to lower the entire upper body down. So the focus now is to feel the right wrist in line with the right shoulder, the left arm by the left side of the body. Palms face up on both hands. Let the head just drop. Close your eyes. Breathe into it. 40 or 50 breaths here. You want to take a little longer time here in the shoulder stretch than you do in the hip stretch, because it's a little easier to just let your mind drift off. Take your time. Whenever you're ready, all you have to do now, press into the left hand and then roll your body all the way onto your back. So the work is, when you roll onto your back, you want to feel that the lower back is pressed into the floor. So the good way to do that is to hug the knees in and draw them wide so the hands rest on the knees. And you might even pull the knees in a little so the lower back lifts a little. Might lift the chin into the chest to stretch the back of the neck. Hug the knees in wide. And when you're ready, gently allow the feet to just drop. Bring the right ankle on top of your left knee, and then you're going to let everything drop over to the left. So it's going to be a pretty deep twist. You're going to take your time, let the left hand come outside of the right knee, and then the right arm reaching out to the right, and the palm of the right hand facing down. Look past the right hand, so eventually your chin gets to your right shoulder, and then you keep allowing the right knee to drop down. Breathe deep into the belly, so you should feel like your belly is rising and falling with your breath. So as you inhale, you feel the inhale press your belly up to the sky, and the exhale release you down more. At some point, your right shoulder and your right knee will touch the floor. Close your eyes and be gentle here. If you feel like it's too much, you can release the right leg a little, straighten the right leg a little, do whatever you need. Sometimes I like to come in with a full straight leg. It helps to release a little more of the energy down the IT band and the outer hip. Sometimes if you bend the knee a little more, you get deeper into the lower back. So you just want to find what feels good. Maybe a straight leg. You can always also, an option is to use a little bolster underneath the straight leg. So if you have the leg out there, you put the bolster underneath the foot, then it doesn't quite feel like the leg is dropping down as much. So find just whatever feels good. Be easy on yourself. Take a full 20, 30, maybe 40 breaths here, taking your time, just closing your eyes. If you want the left hand to rest outside of the right leg, you can do that to get a little extra expression of the twist. Give yourself a few deep breaths. Try to feel the upper body twisting, the breath moving through the body, and your body starting to surrender and relax into the twist. After about 40 breaths, you'll gently draw the right knee in towards the body, hug the knees in, maybe do a little groan and moan. Bring the hands to your knees so the knees draw wide, never, ever, ever crossing the ankles. So keeping the legs as wide as you need to so the lower back presses down, the knees drop wide, gifting yourself a little space. When you're ready, the right foot to the floor, left ankle on the right knee, and you're going to let everything drop over to the right for the twist on this side. So the right hand outside of the left thigh, reach the left arm out to the left so that your left shoulder starts dropping to the floor, And your focus is to try to allow that left knee to drop as far to the right as you can. Lower through the left shoulder, look past the left hand. Try to get the chin as close to your left shoulder as you can. And then the deepest, longest breaths through your belly as you're able. Try to make the inhale so big and expansive it moves the space between your belly, the space between your left hip, the space between your left shoulder. Feeling the freedom always to straighten out the left leg if you'd like, or use a little bolster to straighten it and hold it up. Find what you need. Take a few long deep breaths. When I say a few, I mean 30 or 40. Just taking your time, really easing into it. So closing your eyes, letting yourself drift off into a space is a really good way to make it happen. Whenever you're ready, come back to center, hands to your knees, let the knees draw wide, lift the chin into the chest, stretch the back of the neck and shoulders. As you're ready, let the belly release, let the legs come long, the feet fall wide and the arms drop by the sides, palms of your hands face up. Close your eyes, let your teeth separate, let your jaw release, let your shoulders drop and your stomach let go. You feel the hips sink deeper, the legs fall heavier, your feet fall wider, and your entire body releases into the earth. And all you're left to do now is focus on the gentle rhythm of your breath. Long inhales and exhales. The breath travels from the tips of your toes into your ankles, to your calves, thighs, and hips. Feel the breath move into your belly and your heart. Breath fills up your shoulders, and then it travels through the crown of your head. Every exhale, flushing your body of any tension that remains. Separate the teeth, release the jaw. Every exhale, the shoulders drop, the stomach lets go. Your hips release deeper. Legs fall heavy, your feet fall wider, and you allow your entire body to drift into a space of surrender. And all you're left to focus on is the gentle rise and fall of your breath. So you take your time with the Shavasana. Feel free to pause it after that little meditation. Whenever you're ready, you'll gently draw the knees into the body. Give yourself a little hug. It's nice to grab opposite elbows on top of the knees, hug the man close, forehead to the knees. And then gently, whatever way feels comfortable, you'll slowly come into a seated position, rolling onto one side, gently lifting back up to center, and just being easy with yourself. So realize that the work is being easy, being slow, taking your time in each posture, and just allowing your upper body to start releasing into it, letting your hips release, letting your body release, and taking regular Epsom salt baths in hot water, letting the Epsom salt move the energy out of your muscles, create a little more opening, just doing what feels good. So take your time. This is video number 1. We'll give you a new installment soon. Okay. Blessings, love, lots of good energy. I hope you feel better. Keep a swagger going, realizing the swagger begins in your mind, and then it starts to move and manifest through your entire body. All right, peace, blessings, love. I'll talk to you soon. Blessings and namaste.